All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And real quick, wanted to go into this lesson. As you can see in the title, heap not trouble onto yourself. Now, this was inspired by a discussion that I was having with a few brothers not too long ago, and that's why I have these precepts on here. It's not much, but Lord willing, it'll do. It'll get the point across. And basically, focusing more on greed. Okay, more on greed, which is a very deadly trait or attribute or characteristic, however you want to call it. Okay, to be a greedy individual who's never satisfied. Okay, really, that's one of the prime characteristics of Esau, right? The scriptures liken him onto death, all right, hell and death, which can never be satisfied. But greed is a dangerous chemical. Okay, it's a dangerous drug, it's a dangerous chemical, and it can ultimately lead to your downfall. Okay, so I have a couple of accounts here going into it where through greed, through unsatisfaction, and just constantly wanting more and not appreciating what you have. All right, it led to certain individuals being put in a very difficult position, having judgment be brought upon them. As where had you just been content, you would have been good. When you I mean, there's numerous accounts in the scriptures and in real life where going out of your way for something that you don't necessarily need, or just because you envy something that you don't have, and instead of focusing on what you do have and being thankful and grateful for that, you risk it all for this one thing, and you end up getting none. Okay, like I remember, it reminds me of this cartoon I watched years ago. I think it was called Over the Hedge. Let me see if I can. Over the Hedge. Yeah, it was a 2006 film. Yeah, this cartoon right here. And in this cartoon, there's a scene, I think it's at the beginning of the movie, where this raccoon, um, this raccoon here basically is stealing food from a bear, and the bear is hibernating. So the bear had this cart and stocked up all this food inside of its cave, and this raccoon sneaked up in there with a red cart, stacked up all the goods that this bear had. I don't know if they have the picture of that scene in here, but I mean his cart was stacked. Let me see. Stealing from a bear. Okay, maybe I can find it. But basically his cart was stacked, right? He stole everything from the bear, and he was good to go. And all he had to do was just leave. The bear was fast asleep, but he turned around and saw that the bear was gripping onto Pringles. Look at all this stuff over here compared to one can of Pringles, that he just couldn't be content with what he had. He had to go and try pry it out of the bear's hands. And as you can see from the clip, it didn't go too well, right? The bear woke up, and now he was in trouble, right? So that was just one example that came to mind, but there's numerous accounts. Like you look at King David, for example, when he committed adultery, and the Lord said, if you wanted, such and such, He would have given you such and such. You didn't have to go and do all that, right? So greed is a very dangerous thing. There's a saying that being rich, or being poor, or whatever the case is not necessarily based on the conventional idea of it. Okay, I mean, to some degree it is, but according to the saying, he who's never satisfied with what he has will never be rich, because he's never content with what he has. If he wants $1 million and he gets $1 million, he wants $1 trillion. He's never satisfied. Okay, so let's start off here in the book of 2 Kings chapter 5 verse 9. It says, so Naaman came with his horses and with his chariot and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. Now, for a bit of context or background, this individual Naaman, I believe he had leprosy, and when he had heard of the man of God being Elisha, he came to him in hopes that he can be healed. He can have some cure to his leprosy. So it says he came, he stood at the house of the stood at the door of the house, and Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean. But Naaman was wroth, and went away, and said, Behold, I thought he will surely come out to me, and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, right? Which is Yahweh. They call on the name of Yahweh his God, and strike his hand over the place and recover the leper. See, and this is what people expect when they hear about a man of God. When they hear about prophets and man of God, what they're expecting to see is they come out, and what they see is us with garments on reading the scriptures, but that's not what they expect to see. They want to see some brothers levitating, some brothers floating. They want to see this force field around us, like the earth we're standing on has to be, we got to turn to earth benders. They lift up the earth under us. The sign is floating, and it's changing words, and 2 seconds it switches to the Hebrew, then back to the English. Our eyes are glowing, the books are levitating, the pages are flipping by themselves, and this wind is just blowing all around us. That's what they expect to see. That to them, that theatrical, that is what they when they think of man of God, that's what they want. But the Most High doesn't deal that way, right? So when he came there, he's like, this dude didn't even come out to meet me. He just sent his servant and tell me to go wash myself in the Jordan River. What type of shit is that? So he had high expectations, and to his unexpected surprise, his expectations were too high. Verse 12, it says, Are not Abana and Pharpar, rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? May I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in rage, because he's thinking, well, all I gotta do is go wash in a river. You want me to wash in this river? I could have just done that from where I'm from. And his servants came near and spake unto him and said, My father, if the prophet had bid thee do something, or bid thee do something great, or some great thing, wouldest thou not have done it? How much rather then when he saith to thee, wash and be clean? So he's saying, if he told you, go and do this and do that and grab this and get like a horse's toenail, and like half of a pig's ear and mix it together and then leave it on the top of the highest mountain for 5 days and then come back and then heat it up and then freeze it and heat it up and freeze it and then drink it. And then 10 days later, go do a triathlon, and that's what they want to hear. Oh yeah, that the more elegant and crazy it sounds, that means it's working. So he said, if he had told you to do some extra joint, you would have done it. And all he's asking you to do is go wash in this water. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Right. So they managed to convince him, right? So it says, then went he down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God. And his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. So he was fresh. All right. He was fresh, smooth skin, probably all them scars and all that gone, looking clean. Verse 15, it says, and he returned to the man of God, he and all his company, and came and stood before him. And that's an example of like the simplicity, right? That's the thing. And when you look at it on the front of this truth, that simplicity in Yahweh Shai gets a lot of people. They come into the truth and then they look around and they're like, that's it. You guys just go and read scriptures, break down scriptures, go out and teach, and just that's it. Like what? That simplicity is too simple for them. They want something more. So because of that, something so simple becomes rather complicated, and they can't keep doing it. So it says, so he returned back to Elisha and came and stood before him, and he said, Behold, now I know that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel. Now therefore I pray thee, take a blessing of thy servant. See, so these heathens, like when we think of these heathens, now obviously they're not on the level of Israel, But just because somebody's a heathen doesn't mean that they're just like some animal that has no cognitive function and can't see or know anything. That's not the case. Okay, you had like Hiram, for example, who was he was pretty up there. He wasn't an Israelite, but heathens have a mind that works, right? Meaning that they can see and acknowledge as this guy did, Naaman, also Nebuchadnezzar, Darius, Cyrus. These people, they acknowledge the power of the Lord. So they're not like some brainless, brain dead creatures that even if you show them some miracle right in front of their eyes, they're just like, I mean, some of them today are, even Israelites like that. But the point is that like this heathen confessed because he couldn't deny it. Because he saw the power of the Lord and he couldn't deny it. So even he confessed, right, that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel, knowing that the God of Israel wasn't his God, but he acknowledged that the God of Israel was the God. See, and that's the realization that all these nations are going to come to, which is that there is one God and he is not their God, but he is there and he does exist. So he wanted to give Elisha something in return, right? Take a blessing of thy servant. But he said, as the Lord liveth, before whom I stand, I will receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. And Naaman said, so Elisha turned it down. And Naaman said, shall there not then, I pray thee, be given to thy servant 2 mules a burden of earth? For thy servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifice unto other gods, but unto the Lord. Did you look at that? In this thing the Lord pardon thy servant, that when my master goeth into the house of Rimmon to worship there, and he leaneth on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon, when I bow down myself in the house of Rimmon, the Lord pardon thy servant in this thing. So he's basically saying, look, I acknowledge that Yahweh is the one true living power. And when where I'm from, my master, he serves in the house of his God. And when I go there with him, he leans on me for support, but I gotta bow down too. But I'm not bowing in reverence or in homage of this God. So may your God Yahweh pardon me, for that. It says, and he said unto him, go in peace. So he departed from him a little way. But Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, now this is where it gets interesting. It says, the man of God said, behold, my master had spared Naaman the Syrian in not receiving at his hands that which he brought. But as the Lord liveth, I will run after him and take somewhat of him. You can't let this guy just go like that. So Gehazi followed after Naaman. And when Naaman saw him running after him, so you can imagine, right? He's coming, he's full speed and shit. You see this guy, because when somebody's running from a far distance, they look like a tiny figure. And then you see some movement, you see some hands, elbows, knees. Oh shit, there's somebody. Okay, what's up? So it says he lighted down from the chariot to meet him and said, is all well? And he said, all is well. My master has sent me, saying, behold, I'm sorry, let me catch my breath. Right? Behold, even now there be come to me from Mount Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Give them, I pray thee, a talent of silver and 2 changes of garments. So he was making up that story because he wanted to get something from Naaman, and he knew that Elisha had already turned him down. So he's saying, "Oh, no. He just got 2 servants that came over, and so give me some money and some garments so I can take it back to him." And Naaman said, be content. Take 2 talents. Now, 2 talents is a lot. Okay, let me see what the blue letter has for a talent. A talent is not just like one ounce. I think a talent, when you really look it up, let's see what the word is here. Okay, so it says kakar, a round weight talent of gold, silver, bronze, iron. So they don't define it here, but I believe it's a talent is pretty heavy, somewhere around maybe 80 something pounds. Let me see. Talent weight. Okay, here they dropped it, but let me see in the wiki. Does it have it on here? I believe even some of them, well, depending on which talent it was, some went as far as weighing even the size of an average human being. I forgot where I read that, but let's see. Let's read a little bit here. So it says the talent was a unit of weight used in the ancient world, often used for weighing gold and silver, but also mentioned in connection with other metals, ivory and frankincense. In Homer's poem, it is always used of gold and is thought to have been quite a small weight of about 8.5 grams, approximately the same as the later gold stater coin or Persian derrick. In later times, in Greece, it represented a much larger weight, approximately 3,000 times as much. It says an Attic talent was approximately 57 pounds. The word also came to be used as the equivalent of the Middle Eastern kikar, which we just looked up. A Babylonian talent was 66 pounds. Ancient Israel adopted the Babylonian weight talent, but later revised it. The heavy common talent used in New Testament times was 129 pounds. See that? So when you hear talent, it's not a small amount. A Roman talent was approximately what 71 pounds, and then so on and so forth. So basically, according to them, prior to the New Testament times, Israel would use the Babylonian weight of a talent, which was somewhere around 69 pounds. Okay, so let's say we go with that for example. That's a lot. He's telling him to take two talents. That's over 100 pounds. So as it says here, be content, take two talents. And he urged him and bound 2 talents of silver in 2 bags. Now, I mean, what the exact weight of it at for this specific account, it doesn't, it just says a talent. And in today's day and age, it's not very direct how much exactly it was, but let's just say it wasn't just like 2 coins. Okay, especially since they had to be put in bags. It says, and 2 changes of garments, and laid them upon two of his servants, and they bare them before him. And when he came to the tower, he took them from their hand and bestowed them in the house. And he let the men go, and they departed. He's being sneaky, sneaky. But he went in and stood before his master. And Elisha said unto him, whence comest thou, Gehazi? If I'm saying his name right, Gehazi, however you want to say it. It says, and he said, thy servant went no whither. So he tried to lie on top of that. Shit. See what greed will make you do? And he said unto him, went not mine heart with thee when the man turned again from his chariot to meet thee? Is it a time to receive money and a time to receive garments and olive yards and vineyards and sheep and oxen and manservants and maidservants? The leprosy, therefore, of Naaman shall cleave unto thee and unto thy seed forever. Oh my God, damn. That's a heavy curse. And he went out from his presence a leper as white as snow. So can you imagine that? So this guy, this servant of Elisha, was cursed with leprosy and his seed. So they were lepers. All right, and hey, the Lord really had a heavy spirit on Elisha, man, because he was like pretty much like telepathic, like he you couldn't lie or hide something from him. Before you even came into the house, he already knew who was coming, what their intention was, what they like. I mean, yeah, Lord had a heavy spirit. I mean, he did ask for a double portion of Elijah's spirit. So there you go, But this is the first account, okay, of that, where, like I titled the lesson, heap not trouble onto yourself. And these are accounts of these are ancient accounts, right? What was written aforetime was written for our learning, Romans 15:4. But you can learn from them because the same behavior happens today. There are certain situations that you don't need to involve yourself in, certain things that you don't need to do. Just be content with what you have. Like when people that gamble, for example, sometimes they go, and the way that these scammers get you is they'll maybe get you comfortable. You maybe get the first one or the first two or the first three, and instead of just walking away with it, you always want to get that one extra, and you end up losing everything. and now you broke and in debt. When you were up, you could have walked away with it, but no, it's just that temptation of, let me just get that extra last bit. That's one aspect of it. And then there's the other aspect, which is like the account we just read, where it drives you to go out your way to try and get something, and you, instead of just being content with what you have, you coveting after somebody else's. And the reason the scriptures talk about coveting being a sin, the Apostle Paul said, covet to prophesy. So in what context is that? What does he mean? When it says covet, it doesn't mean just you just covet anything and that's going off, but in the direction of, you see something that belongs to another person, and you desire it so much that you want to take what belongs to somebody else. And in most cases, it results in you going down the wrong path in order to achieve that, to accomplish that goal. So it's a dangerous seed that even gets planted in your mind. That's why it says, thou shalt not covet all which is thy neighbor's. See, now, if somebody got some nice shoes, there's some nice shoes. Maybe I want to get some nice shoes. You gonna get some nice shoes. Okay, that's cool. But if you got dudes today, like Jake, they'll see somebody, damn, I like his gold chain or his gold watch. Then I'm gonna follow him and stick him up, or maybe stab him up, or maybe kill him, so I could take his chain. Now you're completely going off. See, at that point, that seed of wickedness was planted in the dude's mind. He saw something that belonged to somebody else, and then he wanted it so bad that now his actions, the wicked seed, led to committing murder in order to just get a hold of whatever it is that he wanted. So it can lead you down a very wrong path. Anyway, this is the book of Joshua, chapter 7, verse 22. And this is dealing with the account of after we had defeated and taken over or destroyed Jericho, and the Lord, and basically we were going to take over the city of Ai. However, when we went, we lost. Okay, well, it was bad because the Lord commanded Israel. First, he commanded Joshua, and Joshua told the Israelites, prior to even taking down Jericho and going up in there, he said, when you go, do not take anything in there, because it is accursed, except for the gold and the silver and the brass and the iron that will go into the treasury of the Lord, but everything else destroy and burn with fire, right? Except for Rahab and who they had promised to save, her and her household. So when going to Joshua 7 and 22, we had clear directions, right, on what to do. And yet, let's read. So this is Joshua 7 and 22. It says, so Joshua sent messengers, and they ran onto the tent, and behold, it was hid in his tent. Now, what was happening here is, let me go up a little bit. Up. All right, this is Joshua chapter 7, verse 16. So at this point, the Lord had revealed unto Joshua that somebody in Israel had taken of the accursed thing. And that is, it is basically, it has put a curse on the camp. And that's why things are going south. So they need to get rid of it. Until they do, that curse is not going to be off. That taintness is going to be within the camp. So as it says in verse 16, so Joshua rose up early in the morning and brought Israel by their tribes, and the tribe of Judah was taken. And he brought the family of Judah, and he took the family of the Zarhites, and he brought the family of the Zarhites man by man, and Zabdi was taken. And he brought his household man by man. So basically the Lord was guiding them to narrow down the the suspects, okay, until they reached the final individual. So from tribe to family to household to individual. So it says, and Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah, was taken. And Joshua said unto Achan, my son, give, I pray thee, glory to the Lord Yahweh, God of Israel, and make confession unto him, and tell me now, what hast thou done? Hide it not from me. Yeah, and it would be given glory, right? Because the Lord said that there was somebody in there that had taken it, and the Lord narrowed it down to this individual. So, just confess. Okay, you might as well just confess. It says, and Achan answered Joshua and said, indeed, I have sinned against the Lord Yahweh, God of Israel, and thus have I done. When I saw among the spoils a goodly Babylonianish garment, see, starts with the eyes, enticed. Even going back to the garden, Eve, when she saw, the scriptures tell you when she saw that it was what was it, meat and a thing to desire to make thee wise. I believe that's how it was worded. When her eyes laid hold on these new ways that she was enticed to, she totally forgot about everything else that they had. The Lord pretty much gave them everything, and she wanted to risk it for the biscuit. Unfortunately, that biscuit was dry as hell. And now look at where we at. Now you don't got it or the biscuit. You just got hell. All right. So yeah, man, it's always that. That's why you have to discipline yourself. Okay. You have to discipline yourself, man, and truly apply wisdom, because this kind of attitude and energy, this is something that comes from the flesh, is drawn from the flesh. This isn't something of the spirit. See, this is something of the flesh. When one gives in to the flesh, because the flesh just tells you, yo, that's nice, I want it. So then you forget about, well, the Lord said don't do it, or maybe it doesn't belong to you, or the way that you're thinking about going about it is very wicked. All of that goes out the window. Your flesh does not think about that. All it thinks of is that nice, I want it now. Like how the Hulk talks, Hulk smash, Hulk smash now, right? So that's how your brain, your flesh thinks. That's what I want, and I want it now. And then it tries to entice you and make these justifications to make you succumb to those enticements. And that's why the scriptures say that the heart is, Jeremiah 17:9, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who may know it? So you can't take that chance. Verse 21, when I saw among the spoils a goodly Babylonianish garment, and 200 shekels of silver, and a wedge of gold of 50 shekels weight, then I coveted them and took them, and behold, they are hid in the earth in the midst of my tent, and the silver under it. And right there, what did he do? He heaped onto himself trouble, big trouble. And let's see if it was worth it. Because in most, if not all cases, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Is a gold chain really worth committing murder over? Is somebody else's woman really worth committing adultery over? The scriptures say that he that committeth adultery sinneth against his own soul, lack of understanding. So at this point, was that garment and that silver and that gold really worth? I mean, the Lord's about to give you a whole land. Verse 22, it says, so Joshua sent messengers, and they ran onto the tent, and behold, so shows you how they moved with a sense of urgency. And behold, it was hid in the tent, and the silver under it. And they took them out of the midst of the tent, and brought them unto Joshua and unto all the children of Israel, and laid them out before the Lord. So imagine, you got the whole nation. You have been called out, put in a place where everybody can see you. You just confessed before the Lord and the whole nation. They ran and got it, and everybody's just looking at you like, man, nah. Nobody's supporting you at this point. Everybody's just looking at you like, damn, because now he's made a public example. So let's keep going. It says, verse 24, and Joshua and all Israel with him took Achan the son of Zerah, and the silver, and the garment, and the wedge of gold, and his sons, and his daughters. Let me see. Yep, and his daughters, and his oxen, and his asses, and his sheep, and his tent, and all that he had. And they brought them onto the valley of Achor. They took everything. His kids, his daughters, and you can imagine that, however old his sons and daughters were, maybe whether they were young or whether they were older, them being grabbed up and brought. Maybe they try to resist a bit. Wait, hold up, wait, I didn't have anything to do with it. They took everything. Oxen, sheep. It says, and Joshua said, why hast thou troubled us? The Lord Yahweh shall trouble thee this day. And see, at this point, Achan and all his relatives, it is those that were taken there. He's really having this life flashing before his eyes and this reflection. Because in this situation, who do you turn to plead? You're gonna pray to the Lord. The Lord is the one who's issuing these commands. There's no escape. And then you start to really sit down and think, damn, was it really worth it, man? I mean, shit. If what would have happened if I had just not even touched it? I would have been good. I would have been fine. We would have been chilling in our tent, getting ready to take over the city. Maybe eating some food and whatever it is. And now, because of disobedience, because I coveted after some stupid garment, see, all of a sudden, then the garment, the gold, all that shit becomes stupid now. It's not really relevant because now you're about to die. Over what? Disobedience. See how dangerous it is? It starts off seeming harmless because your brain justifies it, makes it seem like, yeah, but like, man, it's just, man, just take that, man, whatever. Nobody's going to find out. Really? Remember, we technically live in a theocracy. Like we're ruled by, we have divine eyes on us all the time. We're not just governed by just regular laws. No. So you're not really going to get away with anything. Continuing, it says, and all Israel stoned him with stones and burned them with fire after they had stoned them with stones. So Achan, his sons, his daughters, his oxen, his asses, his sheep, they didn't even know what was going on. But guess what? They still got to work. The tent, all of it, they got stoned. Imagine the whole nation stoning. What does it say? All Israel. That's not 5 people. That's not 10 people. That and they're not just throwing some tiny pebbles. They're hurling them big 2-handed stones. Dudes doing shot put throws. For those who know what shot put is, discus, all of these things. And they're aiming to do damage because that's the commandment. So they stoned them with stones. They burned them with fire, all of them. You can imagine them screaming and all of that, but it is what it is. And they raised over him a great heap of stones onto this day. So the Lord Yahweh turned from the fierceness of his anger, wherefore the name of that place was called the Valley of Achor onto this day. So let that be a cautionary tale. All right, let these 2 accounts, which are just but a few, be cautionary tales. And always remember these things, man. That in the beginning, that's the deceitful above all things, right? It seems harmless. It seems, just do it, that. But remember that the flesh does not know boundaries. It only knows desire. It doesn't know discipline. It doesn't know correctness. It only knows desire. It knows pleasure and it knows displeasure. It doesn't like it because it's not fun. That's why if you have to suffer pain for something that's right, your flesh doesn't want to do it. It tastes bitter. I don't like it. Even if it's good for you, I don't care. I don't like it. Right? It tastes sweet. Even if it's bad for you, I want it. It looks good. Even if it's not yours, I want it. That's how the flesh thinks. And that's why you need to discipline. That's why the Apostle Paul said he brings his members under, subjection. Because that's how dangerous the flesh is. So heap not trouble onto yourself. Okay? Because you'll find out that the trouble is more than you can bear. And at the end of the day, it simply isn't worth it. So I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.